The new Black Clover chapter revealed a huge piece of information about the Paladins, confirming my prediction. First, the Paladins are not controlled. Sister Lily is still Sister Lily. And second, Sister Lily has nothing to do with the teleportation of Asta. The cliffhanger is, did Asta manage to save Sister Lily? If you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. Please enjoy this video. Let's go! The new Black Clover Chapter 349 continues with the battle in the Land of the Rising Sun. After Asta defeated that beast magic dude, the question was raised whether Asta reversed the paladin spell or just dissolved the form. This chapter has given a big clue as to what paladins really are and thus whether Asta might be able to undo this paladin spell with anti-magic. My prediction came true exactly as I've always explained it. The paladins are not controlled but act with free will. Moreover, their human souls were not replaced by the purified souls of the devils, as was the case for example with the elf reincarnation when the reincarnated elves took possession of the human bodies by putting the human soul to sleep. In the elf reincarnation, the elves had no access to the memories of the humans, they were literally other people. But in the case of the paladins, they remained all of their human memories, as the new chapter clearly showed. Heath remembered his first encounter with Asta and Sister Lily remembered Asta when he was a child. Sister Lily knows Asta's name, she talks like Sister Lily and even acts like Sister Lily with a gesture that only she does when she touches her face like that. Tabata did this on purpose to give us a hint that the humans are not controlled but have had their understanding of the world changed. They are still the same person though. That's why, for example, Sister Lily's crying in the new chapter is not comparable to the moment when Elfla cried when he fought the Black Bulls. At that moment, the elf reincarnation spell was not yet fully completed, so the human souls had not yet disappeared and still had a small connection to their bodies and the elf souls. So they were able to partially witness what the elves did with their bodies. Another good example of this is when Patrick killed Julius Novachrono and William's sadness leaked out, causing a tear to roll down Patrick's face. And in the new Black Clover chapter, it is literally Sister Lily who is crying, not because she's resisting any control and is somehow trapped deep inside her body observing everything, but because she's actually sad that she has to kill Asta in order to make the idea of world peace that Lucius planted in her head come true. She still loves Asta like a little brother, that hasn't changed. With everything she's doing right now, she actually thinks she's helping Asta and the whole world. That is the only manipulation that has taken place. She's brainwashed. Lucius' soul manipulation has influenced Sister Lily's personality and made her have views that she did not have before. She's not possessed, has not lost control or is under the influence of an active spell. Everything she does is her own decision, even if it is because of Lucius' soul manipulation. In fact, it is likely that the paladins know that they are not who they once were and that Lucius is responsible for that change. If they are aware of this, then they simply believe that their old worldview was wrong and that Lucius has opened their eyes. Which is why the paladins keep saying things like, let Lucius save you. So in a way you can say that Lucius has made the paladins see and understand things from his point of view. In this way the paladins actually reflect Lucius himself. This could be an indication that Lucius is not evil at all but simply mentally ill and trying to force his worldview on others so that everyone has the same understanding. Because only then will his sick version of peace work at all, which he believes is the only way to make total peace possible for eternity. I truly believe that Lucius' goal is peace, but not like an anti-hero, but rather like a mentally deranged man who has a little too much power to use to fulfill his delusion. That's why Asta is so dangerous for Lucius, not only because he can't see his future, but also because Asta is the only one who can't be manipulated, and therefore the only person who has to die instead of being saved. With this new revelation that the paladins are actually acting with free will, the question arises of how anti-magic might affect this whole situation. Paladins are not affected by an active spell as was the case with the elf reincarnation, when the active reincarnation spell allowed the two souls to share one body. By removing the spell that kept the elven soul in the human body, the elven soul was forced to go to the afterlife. So it depends on what sustains the effect of the paladin. The elf reincarnation has proven that memories are bound to the soul, and grimoires have proven that magic is also bound to the soul. Since paladins have two magic abilities at the same time, not like William and Patry who had to change control to change their magic ability. This means that both the human and the devil's soul are somehow involved at the same time, which is fundamentally different from the reincarnation of the elves. If it can be compared to reincarnation, then only to Yuno's situation, because he too can use two magic abilities at the same time. Just like the Paladins, because in his case, his two souls are identical, which is why they are considered one person. They were born together and grew up together. Neither of them has a single memory that the other soul does not have, which is why it made no difference when the elf reincarnation took place and Yuno's elven soul took control. So in the case of the Paladins, one would have to assume that both souls became one soul or one person, like it's the case with Yuno's souls. So Lucius took the souls of the devils and purified them. What exactly the process of purification does to a devil's soul was not revealed, but due to the fact that the Paladins do not appear to have any devil's memories, one can assume that purification means erasing their previous life in the sense of their memories and thus sins. At the same time, all human souls remain their memories, but are able to use magic of the devils. In my opinion, the most logical conclusion is that Lucius must have fused two souls together and created a new soul. Now comes the tricky part. Theoretically, Asta not only has the ability to cancel magic, which allows him to stop the paladin transformation, but also to influence the causality of spells by using his demon destroyer sword, and thus might be able to turn the paladins back into humans. This ability is called causality break. It absorbs and removes the effects of spells by breaking the cause-effect relationship. But the problem is that spells are tied to souls. We have already seen much evidence of this. We know, for example, that even though Charlotte is cursed, the elf soul that took over her body was not affected by the curse because the curse is bound to Charlotte's soul. The same goes for the scar on William's face, which is also a curse that is on his mother's family. Patry has confirmed that this curse does not apply to his soul, suggesting that spells such as curses affect the soul, just as the soul is tied to a single magic ability. So when Lucius used soul manipulation on the devils, the spell worked on the devil's soul. You can think of it as a memory stick that remembers the effects of spells. Now, if Asta were to use his demon destroyer sword on Beelzebub, he will theoretically be able to reverse the spell and turn the purified soul back into a devil. But if my assumption is correct, and Lucius didn't just put two souls into one body, but mixed them into a single and new soul, this raises the question of whether that soul is still affected by the causality of the spell cast on the previous souls, since theoretically a completely new soul has been created that may have lost any connection to previous spells. The same is true of course for Sister Lily's soul. So in summary, we only have a few possibilities. Either Asta can only undo the transformation of the paladins with his anti-magic, but he can't turn the paladins back into humans. Or his anti-magic is able to influence the causality of the soul manipulation. Then the following two possibilities can happen. Either the causality break will make Beelzebub awake inside Sister Lily, which could become a problem depending on how this affects the situation of two souls sharing one body. Who will have the control in this case? It will definitely be interesting and allow us to hear Beelzebub's perspective. Or the last possibility is that the causality break will be able to completely remove Beelzebub's soul from Sister Lily and thus turn Sister Lily into a human again. In this case, the question arises, what happens to Beelzebub's soul? Due to the causality, it would have to return to Beelzebub's body, and due to the fact that it appears that Lucius has opened the gates of the underworld, this would mean that Beelzebub would be freed. So by undoing the paladin spell, they will still have to defeat the devil that was put into the human. But if Asta is unable to break the causality, then only death will work, or convince him to reverse the spell. Of course, this is only possible if there is a main villain who has manipulated Lucius. And the last important thing about this new Black Clover chapter is that Sister Lily has confirmed that she was not the one who teleported Asta to the land of the rising sun. Maybe it was Beelzebub, but there's no sign of that, nor is there any evidence of a connection between Beelzebub and the land of the rising sun. And since there was no one there who could have done that, and since such a person is not present in the land of the rising sun either, we can assume that it could have been a spell that had been on Asta's body all along. This points to the possibility that it was the same person who hid the grimoire and the sword, and so on and so forth. This person of course could have planned everything together with Ryu in the past. I already explained my idea on this topic in the last video, the link is in the comments. In short, I think it could be Astaroth. So what do you think of this new Black Clover chapter? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this Black Clover chapter review, please leave a like, it really helps me a lot. And if you want to see more Black Clover content, then subscribe to this channel with the notification bell activated. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.